Alright, so first I'd like to start by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakadash. Also to say double honors to the apostles and elders of James Stone, to the acting that out in the hours and edges, pushing this truth in sincerity, go full length. Shalom, this is Brother Kanan, out here on a Saturday. You know, to prophesy don't for the society. You know what I mean? To wake up our people as you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, predominantly true biblical Israelites. You know, man, doesn't matter where in the world you are, doesn't matter how you look. Once you have that seed, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, then the Lord's calling to an elect amongst you. You know what I mean? To come back, to return. And I mean, that's the first fruit and the ones that are basically going to get delivered to the society. And I mean, also to tell you about what is to come. You know what I mean? World War III, martial law, RFID chip, you know what I mean, MOTB, all these things, famine, pestilence, you know what I mean, all these things that are prophesied in the Bible will come to pass. And the Lord sent his prophets in the aisles and edges, you know what I mean, to come and warn our people about these things. You know, for many years, growing up in society, you've been dumbed down, taught lies, you know what I mean, by society, you know, and what you would have believed to be as truth, you know what I mean, also were also lies. So therefore, you've grown with the mindset that this society is all that is there to offer, and you're just gonna live it up, even if you're not really living up. Anyway, you're gonna just enjoy your portion as is in this setup, right? So therefore, you're not looking for anything beyond this. You have no hope, no faith, no future beyond just being here. You know what I mean? Some man say, oh, them live for them youth. They just have a bag of pitney, and then when I feel them time to go, they go. They don't try to live and try to preserve themselves in any way. Not really saying that this society is what you should be preserving yourself for, really. But to show you, majority have been told so many lies that they've come to the acceptance that this is it, right? That this is what you have to live. And therefore they are miserable. They go about living their bad lives. You know what I mean? Seeking all the spoils that they think they can get in the society. Whether illegally, legally, doesn't matter what they do or go about it. There's no integrity, nothing really about what they do. Alright? So just live that way. You know what I mean? Because the so-called prophets that you look to, the false prophets that you look to, the preachers in the churches, the ones that you see in the ardent edges that you would believe in, when they do come out and say the end of the world is coming, they speak of it as if everything is going to just end. Like literally. Yeah, so then what purpose? What point? And they tell you about an heaven that's beyond this. You know what I mean? And they make it sound boring. You're gonna live in a society where you won't have pleasure, really, basically. Because, you know, they don't teach the truth as it is. So therefore, as a people's mind have been turned off from serving Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, they say what benefit it is to serve the Lord. Better them just live and exalt themselves as they can. What purpose of keeping the commandments when everybody are dead? And then when they're dead, they're gonna go to a place filled with milk and honey and play with lion and tigers. That's how they push the doctrine to you. But the true prophets, you know what I mean? The ones that are really sent by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to come and talk to you, tell you what is to come. We come to edify those who have ears to hear, and to make sure that the ones who don't have ears to hear and don't want to hear, you can't say never hear it before. Alright? So the Bible speaks of the end of the society, and the end of the world is not talking about the end of the entire world. Right? You have to go into words to understand these things as well. So I'm going to start with the first precept. This is Matthew chapter 24. And I'm going to start from verse 1. Right? And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see you not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be one left here. There shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And he sat upon, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? Now people read that and say at the end of the world. See the world as an end. Not knowing that if you look at the world there, it's even that time, an age, right? And there's precept to show you that there won't be end of the earth, so to speak. You know what I mean? Now let me just jump to that real quick. I'll come back to Matthew 24. Right? Alright, so let's start with this is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, one generation passed away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. Right? So the earth will be here to witness people being born and dying. Right? The Lord made it that way. But the earth abideth forever. Let me get this out also. This is let me just read this one real quick, right? Right, let me just read this real quick. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 14 and verse 17. It says, all flesh waxeth old as a garment. For the covenant from the beginning is, thou shalt die the death, as of the green leaf and a thick tree, some fall and some grow. And so is the generation of flesh and blood. One cometh to an end, and another is born. Right, so that's what we're reading in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and chapter 1 and verse 4. It says, one generation cometh and another passed away. Right? So there's a time frame for people to born and a time to die, like the scripture says also. Right? But this society make you seem as if, hey, you're gonna die, and then when you die, that's it. You know what I mean? And if you never dare live righteously when you die, then that's it as well. You know what I mean? But that's not how this Bible really teach it, yo. When you die, it doesn't matter if you're living good or not. You go to the heaven, right? You go back to where your spirit came from, right? But the aim is not to go there. The aim is to have heaven and earth. So that's why a lot of people lose. They lose the ability to have hope. Well, Lord didn't give you that hope, yo, because you have to get that gift. But they don't have it because the Lord played out that way. You've been taught by society, you know what I mean, to live it up as you are. And then when that time done, it's done. So therefore you live with no remorse, you live with no regret, you live with no conscience really towards what you're doing, because what else exists? But if you had known the things that the Lord prepared for you, right, in the kingdom to come, you would see that there's a reason and a need for you to live towards Him, to keep His commandments, to fear Him. You'd have that knowledge in everything, right? But let's get back to what the end of this society really is about. Right? So I'm going to go back to Matthew chapter 24. And I was at verse 4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Right? Many are being deceived already, and many are still being deceived. Right? And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. Again, the end of what? In of this society, this kingdom that you have here. America ruling that in the way it is. The sucker white man being on top, committing all sort of evil upon the earth. That's coming to an end. You know what I mean? That's why you have the rumors of wars is taking place now. You have Iran and America making tough talk behind each other, towards each other. You know what I mean? Trump saying, look here, we need to make a deal. And if there's no deal, then it's not going to be a good day for Iran. We've been telling you that the Bible. We've been telling you that the Bible speaks of these things. And I mean, that this war is going to take place, which is World War III, the third war. And it tells you that the least of the flock of the Jawed, Babylon, America, basically, right? And that's the so-called Israelis, them for you. They are the one that basically is influencing America to attack Iran. And we also tell you that the other nations that are in NATO are going to turn against America. And you've been seeing the evidence as well towards that. You know what I mean? Today I was watching a video where there were some, I don't remember the persons basically in the title, right? But they were saying when Russia go to war, Russia is not dragging other nations with them into war, right? But when America goes to war, America wants to go to war and they want to influence United Kingdom, Germany, France, Spain, all these other nations in NATO. America wants to go to war that doesn't benefit them, right? But they want to pull them also in the war that they're heading into. All because of the veterans, the fake Jews, right? They're the ones that basically, they really run America, really. You know what I mean? So, that's why they're doing that. Even when they were doing the sanctions back then, upon Iran, it was affecting in Europe. Europe was being affected by this sanction. It didn't benefit them any at all. But America don't care. Right? So America, with this puffed up, bold mindset that, hey, they are the shit. And whatever they say goes, and every nation in the world fear them because they have the greatest technology or weapon or army that exists. And they're the ones selling their military weapons to NATO. And therefore, you know, they are the boss. They are the war that rides the beast, basically. Right? So you have the rumors of war being spread that your pastors are not preparing you for, that your so-called leaders are not preparing you for, because when this war kick off, guess what? You're gonna have goods gonna be so high, you're gonna have famine. You're gonna have shipments being stopped. Right? You're gonna have chaos upon the earth, yo. And again, they're gonna pull all these nations into a war, which is gonna be what? World war. Right? But before you have the bickering, the arguments, the tough chat, you know what I mean? And you can see that it's getting more serious, it's getting very serious because guess what? We've been hearing talks and Trump start the actions. Minimal actions, nonetheless, but actions, right? So therefore, he's saying, look here, the last time we said something, I never respond to it. We did this. No, if I don't respond to this, it may be worse. And Iran, knowing that America literally did that before, are now making even more serious talks. Look, if I do that, it's gonna be a bloody day for you, basically. These are not peaceful talks that are being made. These are wars and rumors of wars. Let's go back to Matthew 24. Right? It says, verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right? There's been earthquakes consistently. Right? Even recently, and I mean, there's a small earthquake shaking off the coast of Jamaica, basically. Right? That a lot of people scared. You know, they could have been in their bed and wake up dead. Because if it had gone to a certain level, then they would be able to escape it because they were sleeping. It happened what? 3 a.m. in the morning. Right? Which shows you that you should fear Yahweh Hashem your shine. But people don't know how to fear the Lord. They don't want to fear the Lord because they were taught again that God is all love. And therefore, when there are bad things being done, it's through what? Satan. Because you're positive that Satan has power of himself to do anything of himself. So you fear Satan and you don't fear God. Right? When if you die, the reason why you're going to die is because the Lord put it to death. If your family members die, because the Lord put them to death. If you're ill or feeling pain, it's because the Lord made it happen, yo. And there's none that can stop him from doing that. Again, the Bible speaks of that, yo. Right? Right? So let me just back here. It says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver. Look, I can pause here and for it why. The beginning of sorrows, yo. Because when they venture off into this war, it's not going to be a case where it's going to be a one-day war where Americans get vexed and they say, look here, let's bomb Iran. Iran says, let's hear what? Let's bomb America. Russia says, hear what? Let us bomb America. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be a transition into the war. That's why what? The end is not yet, yo. Because they're going to have troops being deployed in locations, right? Ready to fight anti-drones. You know what I mean? You're going to be, as the Bible speaks of, they're going to be brought into the what? The battle of Jehoshaphat. Right? So you're going to have the armies being grouped up to fight a war in that region. In the Middle East, right? But the American army eventually going to get destroyed from that side. As the Bible says, their sticks shall come up to the carcasses, yo. They're gonna be brought over here to die. And you know what messed up? Well, it's messed up, but it's also good for you people because you're so naive and silly. A lot of members that are in the American army, right? Are you Negroes, Latins, and Native Americans, yo? Right? You're the ones who are joining the military to fight the white man's war. For what benefit? Some cash in your hand to come back to America to what? Have no so-called rights, look them as niggas, being the least amongst the American population, even though you are the greatest there, right? Doesn't matter how high you get in America, if you are of dark complexion or you're not the so-called white man, you're being looked down or despised because that is a curse that the Lord has placed upon our people for being what? Disobedient, not listening to the laws of the Bible. So therefore you walk around with a stain on you. By who? A man is a beast basically, yo. Right? But again, that's what we're saying. The world is not going to end and it's just stuck. And then we look back in the heavens, no. Right? It's going to be a transition from what? One kingdom to the next. So this kingdom that is being run by a so-called white man, they're going to lose their stead as the earth. And guess who's next? Right? People of God, you Negroes, Latinos and Native Americans, the first and foremost, the 144,000 elect men that's gonna be the government. The third, and I mean that the ones that are gonna be preserved in that time frame. The first fruit, right? And then afterwards, you're gonna return as children in the kingdom. Because the cycle continues. The Lord is not the Lord is not unrighteous like how your pastors teach you. Oh, you're gonna be burned in fire forever, never, 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 never. No, you're not gonna be burned in forever, never, 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 never. Hell no, yo, right? You do wickedly, you're gonna face a judgment, right? And then you're gonna go back into the heavens and say, boy, I'm the fool, man, right? And then you're gonna be burned in the kingdom, right? Bible says you're gonna be the least in the kingdom, but you're gonna be in the kingdom nonetheless. So the hope that the Lord basically gives to his elect to believe in these things, right? It's a good thing, because guess what? Let me just get that real quick, right? Right, so this is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 19. Alright, let me just start a little up, right? Verse 13, right? Just to get the point, just to bring it to the point. But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then is Yahushua not risen? And if Yahushua not be risen, then is our preaching vain, and your faith is also vain. Yea, and we are found false witness of Yahweh, right? So to say that you're going to be burned forever and ever and ever and ever is also false witness, right? But let's continue. We are found false witness of Yahweh, because we have testified of Yahweh, of God, that Yahweh, that he raised up Yahushai, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not. So if we are saying that Yahushua was risen and the dead does not rise from the dead, then that would be a false statement, right? But let's continue. Right, verse 16. For if the dead rise not, then is not Christ raised. And if Yahushua not be raised, your faith is vain. You are yet in your sins. Right? Verse 19. Verse 18, Salakia. Then they also which are fallen asleep in Yahushua perish. If in this life only we have hope, in Yahushua we are of all men most miserable, right? But now is Yahushua risen from the dead and become the first fruit of them that slept, right? So we are not those false prophets that basically, that give the vain doctrine, we make you say, give it a sense to live. There is life after death, right? That's why we say not your life. You're going to lose it. And if you lose your life, Yahweh Hashem Yahshai say, you will find it. Because again, there is life after death, right? And again, we shall not all die, right? The Bible says we're going to change in the twinkling of an eye. Let me continue, right? Let's continue to verse 34. So 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 34 says, awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of Yahweh. I speak this to your shame, right? But some will say, How are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain, it may chance of wheat or of some other grain. But Yahweh giveth it a body, and it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. Let's pause here, right? So you're saying with what body? The scripture said, if you ask, with what body are they risen dead? When you die, you die, right? But this is what you're saying because you lack knowledge. You don't know that the God that is dead, and that the spirit that is within you is life, right? You cannot die basically, right? So you pass from the flesh, this terrestrial body, and you go back to a celestial body. But the aim is to do what? Have a body that is fitting to be godlike upon earth, where you can enjoy the thing that you want to enjoy for everlasting, for the time that you should deserve it, that is deserved for you to enjoy without losing it, right? Having a wife, having wives, right, which a lot of people desire so much, you know, because a lot of men, they live their entire life for what? Women, right? And if they cannot live towards that, then life for them don't make any sense. So they end up in bars, drinking their hope away, smoking their hope away, taking drugs, not to face reality. All these things are what people do, yo, because you lost hope. You become dead. You know what I mean? Waiting for someone to blow you up. You know what I mean? They make life become boring. Even the movie In Time. You know what I mean? Y'all this dude in Time, the movie In Time, that he had a lot of time on his hand, basically. Because that's how the movie, basically time you have to live is what? Keep you. Right? And you have the rich. Separate from the poor. So the poor has to be in haste continuously. You know what I mean? Trying to survive. But the rich, you know, they had so many years upon their hand. But this hunger became so hopeless that he wanted to die. You know what I mean? He actually committed suicide. You know what I mean? And he gave his time frame up to someone. That's how they make life seem to you. I'm talking about your churches, yo. And if you're going to live forever, it's going to be a boring scenario. You know what I mean? You have one woman fit for you, I live favor fit. Every day you see this one woman in your life. This one female. Forever and ever and ever. Right? Why would you want to live that way, yo? That's why a man like all, biggie small, what I'm saying? Them can't say me better than this. No, well, not this. You rather be what in there with people like him. And Drake say, oh, he can't say me much better than this. Because they were taught a fairy tale heaven, a fairy tale kingdom that is to come. They were taught that, so they don't want that. They're not interested in that. Right? But the truth is, this society is going to go to a big bang in collapse, calamity, in pestilence, in earthquakes, in wars. And the ones that are hopeful and waiting for that, Yahweh is going to preserve us in that time frame. We're going to witness what is taking place and preserved in it. Right? If you have that faith to believe and accept what Yahweh is telling you, that's what's going to happen, right? Let me go to the next precept. Alright, let me go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. Right? So he answered me then and said, measure out the time diligently in itself, right? And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right? So when you see these things are passing, right, are coming to pass, then you know that it's time for Yahweh Shem Yahshai to visit his earth. You know what I mean? It's time for him to return and deliver his people. It's time for him to unleash all hell upon you people that are not accepting him as your Lord and Savior. You know what I mean? It's time for him to do what? Destroy the enemy that's been thrown against him, that's been thrown against his apple of his eye. That's you people that don't know that you are his people. Right? But the thing is, the ones that are measuring the time are the ones who are waiting for the Lord to return. They are the ones that are saying, making haste basically for the Lord to return. You know what I mean? The ones who don't want the Lord to return, they could care less about the time what is taking place. Because again, their goal and aim is to live it up in the society, even if they're not living it up. Right? Let's continue. So let's go back again. This is verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the earth, in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the beginning of. Then shalt thou understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Right? Even from the beginning. So the Bible is speaking about all these things that are seen taking place. Right? And again, you are stupid to ignore what the Lord is saying, even when you're seeing it happening, yo. You're saying that there won't be any World War III. Guess what? The Bible says it's going to happen. Guess what? Society is pointing at everything that's pointing toward World War III. They are now saying these things to your face, and they use media. You know what I mean? Oh, we don't want to go to war, but we can't afford to Iran to have nuclear power. Oh, we don't want to go to war. That's not on our agenda. But at the same time, let's spend more money in making weapons that are prepared for what? World War III, nuclear destruction by fire. Right? The next precept. Right, so they don't want to go, they're telling you that's what they do, they deceive you. You know what I mean? They don't come out and tell you the truth. And even when you see that these men are liars, playing to your face, you still don't accept that they are liars. You know why? Because they're white. Like Donald Trump said, oh, down with Epstein, with Jeffrey Epstein. When him and Jeffrey Epstein were basically business partners, technically, they were doing business together. The other is basically modeling agency, right? And they were both working together. Everything getting girls for him, vice versa. But they play these things and tell the lies, and then guess what? When you see the truth come out now, they try to take your mind from it because you're so easily distracted. And because you know that they're not going to be judged by society, you pay it no mind. Right? Let's go to the precept. Right? So they are making weapons, giving them new names, making them more modern and more dreadful and more terrifying. You know what I mean? For what purpose? For what reasons again? What's the purpose? Why all nations basically is pushing towards nuclear power? And most nations that are pushing towards these so-called mighty nations. What's the purpose of it? It's for control and power. And no one is real. And no one is really basically, no one is really willing to bow down and accept defeat. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to use this as the war to end all war, like World War I, like World War II, But guess what? Those wars didn't finish or end. You know what I mean? So even though World War I, World War II passed, wars were still taking place. There are still nations that basically against each other. Whether it want to be trade war, whether it want to be, you know what I mean? After the war that take place, yo, informational war, all these wars are taking place. Going straight up to what? Physical war. So there were treaties that were made after World War II, you know what I mean? So, and they tried to keep those things so-called of peace. But it didn't last long. You know what I mean? And it's crumbling right now. The same person I was telling you about earlier said that. You know what I mean? That what America is doing, they said, I think Germany is saying this. It's what America is doing is going against everything that they did back then to create stability. Again, prophets again for the 10 arms to end the war and to do what? Destroy the war. Alright? Let's continue. So the weapons that are being made are not made for just next year. So this is Isaiah 54 and verse 16. It says, Behold, I have created a smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waste to destroy. Right? To destroy what? According to the Bible, America is going to be burned. Right? By fire. Babylon is going to be burned by fire. Right? It's going to get done? Nuclear power. Right? Nuclear weapons are going to be launched from different countries and America. Alright? But that's only America, other nations are going to get burned as well. But the main aim is America. The target is turned into what? They are the bully that bully the entire world in their favor. They are the war that basically ride the beast in their favor, which is changing now. Right? Because first they make America great again. America only care about America agenda. They are being set up for destruction, ultimately by the Lord, but on a lower level by society, by the ones that are ruling the earth today. They have built, and the aim is to do what? Destroy you Negroes as well, you Latinos and Native Americans as well. Because guess what? Majority of the tribes are in where? America. The Americas. Right? So they know that putting a blast in America is going to kill a lot of you people. A lot of you won't escape what is coming. In the America, we're going to die by famine, by pestilence, and eventually terrible destruction. You're going to be missile food. The missiles are going to eat you, especially those in America, yo. Those who want to go to the land of the brave and the sickening, basically. Right? Those who want to go to that land, guess what? If you're not a part of the elect, you're going to die the death in there. Alright? Right? But for the elect, verse 17 it says, No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, said the Lord. So there are people that love to talk about, oh, no weapon that formed against me shall prosper. Are you a servant? Are you serving Yahweh Hashem Yahushai? Are you doing the things that the Lord prescribed of you to do? Are you coming to the other edges around the people? Right? Are you praying to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to preserve you? Do you fear the Heavenly Father? If not, then you're not a servant, yo. You should have been a servant, but you are a disobedient servant. You're not listening to your Father, your Heavenly Father. You're listening to the so-called white man and his kingdom ways, yo. You want to be the body's chick, the body's nigga. You know what I mean? You want to be the best basketball player, football player. You want to do all these things and that being what? A servant of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Even as simple as being just to enter the kingdom. You don't want to be in a field because it's boring to you, yo. Right? Right? Let me get this again. So they don't know what this hellfire is talking about, yo. They don't know what the end of the society resemble or mean. Right? So this is Isaiah chapter 9. Sorry, chapter 5. Chapter 9 and verse 5. This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. For unto, right? So this war is going to be a war of what? Fire, nuclear power. Right? Nuclear weapons being launched again from Russia, China, Iran, their allies, and the ones that were in agreement with America, they're going to turn against America. Nuclear, that's all Babylon is going to be burnt. It's not a case where the Lord is going to open up the earth and there's going to be a big consuming fire underneath the earth that they call, what, hell, and then people are going to be dropped down. No. They show that you people are thinking, you're not using critical, and again the Lord's not working with you, so you're not getting what is being said. So now you hear about the fire that's going to be burn Babylon, you think of literally hell. Or you don't think Babylon is America, one or the other. Whichever way it is, you're deceived and not knowing the truth. Right? So let me continue. Right? Alright, I can pause here for a little, right? Let me go to this one. Right, so let's see 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. Right? It says, for the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the element shall melt with fervent heat. Fervent heat is what? Fervent fire. Right? How is that going to happen? If you look at nuclear power, I know when you test them, you know what I mean? There's a mushroom cloud that goes up. Right? And we continue. And the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Where? In America. Wherever these bombs are fired, the missile is gonna destroy them. Right? That's what they mean by destroy of worlds. When they land these missiles upon countries, whatever is in the part of it is gonna be what? Ashes. Right? Burn to nothing. Right? And if you are a human being there, obviously being in a bundle, you don't have a chance. Right? What's up? What do you mean? You can go on the road, sir. Ask you what do you? I don't know what do you. I don't know what you mean by what do you.
You're trying to say a priest with the spiritual one?
No.
It's actually a Christian.
No, that's not.
So
right?
What is it?
Preach the Bible according to what it should be read. You know what I mean? These are people that they are the true Israelites, right? And that World War III is coming. MOTB is being unleashed. It's the RFID chip. So we warn the people about these things. You see, Donald Trump until Iran said they're going to attack them if they don't make a deal. What deal? Do you believe that they're going to be World War III?
Yeah. And so in the end, so they already know what they're doing. Then
Right.
all of these supplies too.
You're gonna be surprised, but what are you doing to prepare yourself for that time?
But I'm doing,
Yeah.
I hear the song with the Lord of His way.
Yeah, the Lord of His way, right? The Lord of His way.
Yeah, so we
Right.
don't know. If you don't have no
The
faith,
Bible does say, what manner of life shall you be if you see that all these things shall be burnt with fervent heat? What manner of life? How you should be living? Who should you be fearing?
fear God alone.
What's his name?
That is in Jesus.
His name is
Jehovah.
Jesus. There's no J. Look, over 500 years ago, there was no J.
Well, we don't got him J, G, T, T. But you recognize you say the man who died for you, and you attack.
Who is that man? Or who died for you?
Jesus.
Jesus died for you. There was no Jesus that died back then. So you're lost here. Right? Right, so let's go back to the scriptures, right? Verse. Right, so let's go again. This is 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the elements shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Lord. Yahweh, right? That's Yahweh. Wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. That's telling you plainly what's coming. This is gonna be launched on this kingdom, this place, and it's gonna be burned with fervent heat. Alright, that's not hell like you're being taught in the Bible by your churches, yo. That's not how the Bible deal with it, yo. Let's get to Revelation 8. Right. Let's jump through it real quick, right? So Revelation 18 and verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and become the habitations of devils and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her plague, of her sins, Salakia. And that ye receive not of her plagues, for her sins are reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she reward you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. Right? Let me jump to outside, we're jumping through it, right? Let's come to the party, right? Verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and live deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. When they shall see Babylon being burned and the smoke is going up, they shall stand afar off and lament and bewail her. Standing afar off for the fear, which is verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buy their merchants anymore. Right? Let me jump again. Right, so Babylon is going to be what? Burned with thermonuclear destruction. Right? And let me just read this real quick. It is Revelation 17 and verse. Let's see here. Verse. Let me start from here first. Alright, so let's Revelation 17 and verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels, which are the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great war that sitteth up on many waters, which whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk, and the wine of their fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones, and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Who is that? America, yo. America is the mother of harlots, right? And all abominations. Man can have man as them partner, which is abominations, right? Woman can have woman as them partner, abomination, bestiality, you know what I mean? All nastiness are given rights in America, and they spread this throughout the entire earth with what? So-called democracy, right? That's what they speak about there. Now let's jump to the point in verse 16. Let's start from verse 15. Right, let's start from 13. It said, These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast, right? These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. That's the elect, right? And he said unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the war sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the war, and shall make her desolate, and make her naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Again, how do you burn an entire country with fire? Right? How do you burn an entire country with fire? Thermonuclear destruction. Missiles. Look it up, yo. They have these in their possession, and their enemy is America. And those who have made their mind in agreement with America, because the Lord did say that to do that unto a time frame, the Lord is removing it away from them, and they're going to launch their missiles on America, and you're seeing that being spewed in your news media. You're seeing the population being told what is to come, but again,